I'm going to bring Johnny on. Johnny and I have been working, for a couple of months now together in the final expense space. Prior to that, he's with another organization selling more on the term side. And the reason I wanted to bring Johnny on is he is just absolutely crushing it. Him and I think one other person in his agency, 50,000 in the past 3.5, 4 weeks. Wasn't that what we talked about, Johnny?
Yeah, it's personal production, about 50, 55. And then as a total, like just 2-man show, right around 75. So it's definitely been killer.
That's 75,000 AP. That's the measurement for you new agents of how we measure this. As far as how much commission that is, it's probably that much, or if not more, because of the way Johnny has set up his lead system. We're going to learn more about that. He pays very little for his leads. They're high intent, high quality leads. And his contracts are paying him more than 100% of the AP, the annual premium number that we just mentioned. So if you're wondering about how much it is, it's probably more than his production. So that's why I wanted to bring him on, because he's doing great personally. He's building a nice little team with his system that he's got. And I really wanted to kind of bring you what he is doing and how he's successful to you, because all of us in this business really need to embody and duplicate what others before us have done to be successful. This is not a business in which is mysterious. It's very simple. You just need to copy and paste what other people have proven to work and duplicate it. So with that said, Johnny, welcome. How you doing today, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Hey, thanks for taking your busy time schedule to come on. So let's start from the beginning. How did you get into insurance?
Totally. It's a good question. So I never thought I'd be an insurance agent. Probably if most of you guys are as well. I know one of my good buddies, Joe Camper, he's one of the weird ones. Grew up wanting to be in insurance. So I honestly wanted to play in the NBA. And so it was cool watching the All-Star game last night. And people that I didn't play against, but we'd play in the same tournaments, literally playing in the All-Star game was actually pretty crazy. So I started working at Starbucks, and one of my father-in-law, actually, after I got married, he's like, hey, you should check out the insurance space. He actually just grew and sold a health insurance book. And so not direct to consumer, but it was business to business. So we'd go employee benefits route. So I knew that he did really well. I just didn't exactly know what it was. So I got introduced to the insurance industry. From him, he made an introduction to one of their preferred vendors that actually went and door knocked business to business. So they just got out of the Aflac world, went fully independent, and pretty much I was door knocking businesses. So my goal pretty much was to get 3 to 5 presentations a week for them. And I was just an appointment setter, and I'd just go around and set appointments. So I'd be door knocking. My goal was about 100 to 150 new businesses a week, which was very intense. And these were super, super cold people. They literally just gave me a list and they're like, all right, start cold calling. And I just remember my first time calling, I just got out of COVID, and I was like, I really don't want to do this. I'm at home, and I was so nervous.
What did that experience door knocking businesses teach you about prospecting? How did you what did you take from it?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, when I was doing that, and I was like, all right, this is very, very cold approaches. So it's like, you just got to play the numbers game, and there's going to be people that are interested. 90% of people are not going to be interested at all. Don't honestly care at all about what you're doing. And so it just taught me persistency and law of large numbers. At the end of the day, I was like, hey, if I drop into 50 businesses, 100 businesses, I'll probably maybe get 1 or 2. And these are not just right next to each other. I'd have to drive all around the Phoenix Valley and do this. And so when I was listening to some interviews like yours, like Cody, just a few people in the insurance industry, I heard that you could actually buy leads. And I thought that was insane to actually do. And so I was like, holy cow. So I did that for a while. I just cold door knocked. And then I found out about the life insurance industry. And I was like, holy cow, let me buy as many leads as possible. And so I just came into the industry, and I just started buying thousands of leads. And when I got in there, I was not turning a profit, to be honest, at all. My first, this is my 10th month selling life insurance. And honestly, like it's been a roller coaster. And so I started making content just to learn, like document my journey. Cause I came in from no leads at all. I just was like a lead machine, started buying as many leads as possible. And I would work them for sure. But it's like, it felt like it just was such a horrible feeling, to be honest. I don't know if any of you guys could feel the same way, but like you're buying leads to start like generating deposits and selling these people so that you could just buy leads the next week. Mm-hmm. And I was like, where's the end to this? Like there's a dream, there's a goal. People are living a life. I know that that's possible, but it just felt so like honestly disheartening because I'm like, I'm buying leads, I'm doing the system, I'm following what my mentors are telling me, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like stuck because I'm spending $1,500 to $2,000 a week on leads. And it feels like I'm just getting deposits just so that I could pay for leads next week.
Rob Peter to pay Paul kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it just was like, okay, like this has to work because I've never gotten this many deposits, but I've also never spent this much. So I was kind of confused, like what's going on? So what I had to do is if you guys are new, like track your numbers. And so what I did is I literally went back the past 4 months, and this was in October. And I just went back and I tracked every lead that I spent money on, every deposit that I got from it, and what my ROI was on it. And I was like, okay, because I was working with 3 at that time. And I said, okay, I'm dropping everything else and just going to 1. Very simple.
The highest ROI one, obviously.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. The one that I was actually making the most money on. And
can we ask you what kind of lead that was?
It was a digital lead.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't from Facebook. I think they're from TikTok. It was the one at my previous IMO that we were working. They were great leads. They were just kind of expensive, to be honest, about $35 a piece is what I was paying for them. I mean, when I really broke down the numbers, I was getting a good ROI on them, about like 4x ROI. And I was like, all right, cool. This is like double what I was getting on like direct mail, mortgage protection leads, call-in leads. Like it was about double than that. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to ditch everything and just go straight into this. So I backed in my numbers. How do I make in profit 20 grand? And I actually made a video on this when like at that time, like I didn't do it, to be honest, yet, but I knew how the numbers worked. Right. So I tried it out, didn't work. And I was just still left confused. Like what's going on? Why am I spending $2 a week? The numbers line up like this, but I'm actually not making those deposits. Like what's going on? And it was just still confusing to me, to be honest.
So how much time has passed at this point? You got into this new IMO and you're buying leads, you're figuring out the numbers, and you're barely staying afloat. How much time has passed that you're kind of breaking even, not really getting ahead where you could be, but confused as to how?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was honestly like my first like 8 or so months in the business. I mean, all the way up to the end of 2022, like it was just kind of like, okay, I'm writing a lot of business, but I'm actually not making a lot. Like what's going, like, I don't know. And so it was about like 8 months. Because I've only been doing this for about 11 now. And so like it was about 8 months past that I was like buying leads, and then I'd write, and then I would just make money to pay those leads. And then like, okay, I'd write more to pay back chargebacks. And I was like, what the heck is going on?
So what's the turning point?
There was a big turning point, and it just started generating my own leads. That was honestly the biggest thing. And so like, I'm a very big proponent. And honestly, like, I don't think when you're new, like, I don't think it's going to be a major drastic change, because what I firmly believe is like, I came in and I wrote a lot. Like I honestly wrote a ton. Like I wrote over $300,000 in 8 months. Like it wasn't like just a small amount. I did mass volume. I made a lot, but I also spent a lot of money doing it, and I had a lot of chargebacks. So it's like, I did what they say, massive action. I did it all, right? But at the same time, I wasn't making a lot. So I was like confused, like, how am I writing all this business, but not profiting any, right? And so I think when you're a new agent coming in, your focus has to be massive action. I don't think that I took the wrong course, to be honest, because I wouldn't have able to have such a, like, people see it and they're like, holy cow, all of a sudden you were here. Now you're like 10x where you were.
Right.
But it came with like going through the grind of consistently doing the activity over and over and over again, running 30 appointments a week for 8 straight months, like spending like close to $100,000 for leads, like just straight up. Like it was about spending that money. And then all of a sudden, boom, like all of a sudden, January, like was a crazy month where I spent $2,000 and deposited way more than 2,000. I'll just say that. But
yeah,
like it was like a crazy turn because I started generating my own leads, but I also had the sales knowledge and ability. I got a little bit good at marketing, and all of a sudden, boom, like it just skyrocketed.
Right. So there's a process that you went through. You were getting sales pretty quickly as a new agent, but it really didn't take off until sometime later down the line. And I think
Totally.
I'll say as an aside, doing this since 2011, it's very important. I tell agents all the time, you should be making money immediately when you get started in an insurance business model that has one call closes, like in final expense, term, mortgage protection. That first week in the field, over the phone or in person, you should be closing deals. You may not be as profitable as you could be, kind of like what Johnny's describing here, but you should have some results. And part of this, guys, in this business, like it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You're going to figure some stuff out as you go along. That it's just the nature of it, and as long as you have the right feedback mechanism and open mind to seeing, okay, what am I doing right? What can I improve? You'll find your opportunities as long as you keep your discipline going. So let's talk about the leads. What self-generation? Just think about the audience here generally is newer to the business or aspiring to get into it. When you say self-generation, kind of walk us through what that means and how that works for you.
Totally. So pretty much at a very base level, I market on Facebook. I post ads on there, and I created my own ads, put them up on Facebook, and from there, people respond on Facebook. They go directly into my CRM, real time, fully exclusive to me because they filled out my ad. And then my CRM or client relationship management or whatever, it just sends them a text right away, and I have their information in there, and I just give them a call and pretty much go from there. And so I honestly, like if I were to show the numbers to people, it's like it's not sexy, like not the numbers, but in terms of what I do. Like a lot of people ask me, like, what do you do? What's your schedule? I'm like, I call probably 200 to 300 dials a day. I'm consistent 6 days a week. And I'm not spending a lot. Like, honestly, like for my first 4 weeks generating my own leads, I only spent $350 a week and would issue 7 to 10 grand a week. Now I've bumped it up, probably about doubled that, but also doubled my production. So it's like, it's a very simple thing there. And also, like, I had so many, like, it's a funny thing when you have, it's a super funny thing when you start asking people, like, people ask me all the time, like, to join my team. I'm not building a team right now. I'm not like offering contracts. And the only reason I brought one other person to start dialing on my older leads, which were aged, I guess, because I had 50 to 60 brand new leads a day coming in, and I still do. Like, I have a lot of leads coming in. There's no way that I can work all those. Like, even if I put in massive activity, 300 dials a day, like, it's still, I can't work all those because I'm running 5 to 7 presentations a day. So it's humanly impossible.
Johnny has the worst problem in this business. Or I should say the best problem.
The best one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's too many people to talk. I can't get back to everybody because I'm closing so much business. I'm so busy. It's stressful because I can barely stay ahead of the thing. I'm way behind, and I got to hire people to just close the business that I otherwise couldn't get to. And that's better than the worst problem in the world to have, which is nobody or very few people to talk to. Right.
Yeah, totally. And it genuinely, like, stressed me out at first when I had, like, I mean, just over the weekend, I didn't work Sunday because I'm like really trying to like take a break. But like, there's 140 new leads that came in over the weekend, and I still closed 3 policies, but I only worked like 3 hours. And it was like, okay, holy cow. I'm like walking into Monday, like, yeah, it's going to be a great day, but it's like, I don't know how, I honestly don't know like what to do. Like, so it kind of stresses me out. I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, do I lower the leads or do I just like force, like, do I just put people in there? And so I think like what I just did right away is like one of my buddies, I was just like, hey, pop in here and just start calling these older people. And he would just call them and I just gave him free leads pretty much because there's so many in there. Like, I mean, they're now just in the past month and a half, there's over 1,700 leads. Yeah. And it's like, I've only closed about like 80. So it's not a crazy, like when people look at a lead, usually they're like, oh, I should close 20 to 30%. Full transparency, I only close about 4% of my leads, but my ROI is so crazy because I generate them and they're not marked up by lead vendors. So
what's your average cost per lead? This is from Mark in the chat.
Yeah.
Just give us a rough estimate. Yeah.
A rough estimate about $3, $3 to $4, just kind of depending on the day. But yeah, I'm able, I learned, I never knew that I don't believe I need to be a master marketer. I think where I want to go in the future in terms of building a brand, I think I definitely need to tap into that a little bit more. But I think when you're starting out, I'm an insurance agent. I'm not like, I don't know, like I sell insurance. So my whole goal was to just how can I get to like 50 presentations a week? And I'm still trying to figure that out because it's like right now I feel like I'm capped at like 30, 35 presentations a week. Right. So it's like I need like an appointment setter. That's the only way to do it. But then it's like, okay, these people, their shelf life is so low. Like people that filled out a form 2 days ago are like old leads now.
Right.
They still can be, they still filled out a request, but people on Facebook are a little bit different. They're not going to be the highest quality, but it's just a volume game.
So let's cycle back here for a second. You're selling these leads over the phone, correct?
Yeah. Like I haven't seen a client I did my first month. I went out and did 4 in-person presentations just to learn how to write a presentation. But yeah, everything else has been over the phone solely.
So with your experience, granted, in the B2B world, face-to-face, kind of run through a quick list of pros and cons that you've experienced of selling over the phone. Like what's good about it, what's bad about it.
Yeah, I mean, the good stuff about it is that I could do it from wherever. I could do it with whatever clothes that I have on. Like a lot of people, it was funny. One of my buddies the other day, he was like, I always see you on business calls with a hat and like the same sweatshirt. And I'm like, dude, like I just wake up and like it's cold. Okay, perfect. I'll put on a sweatshirt. And I always wear a hat. Like I'll wear a hat or a headband because my hair is getting longer. But that's pretty much it. Like it's cool because you could just do it from wherever. I've sold insurance from pretty much everywhere in the country, whether that's Indiana, whether that's here, Texas, in Hawaii even. Hawaii, I was vacationing. But I just sold, I woke up at 4 a.m., which was 10 a.m. Eastern. And I just worked from 4 to 10, which was 10 to 4. And I wrote a few policies, wrote about like 10 grand that week I was out there. And I still have the whole day left to enjoy it. So It's like, that's definitely the pros. The cons are building rapport is a massive thing that you have to learn. And your tonality is king because that's all you have. All you have is how you say things, right? So there's a little few tricks. And I actually want to give you guys some of my stuff for free that has really helped me build rapport along the way. It's not like asking what the weather is. It's not, who cares about that? It's really coming in with a dominant presence. Like, hey, I'm actually getting back to you here in regards to the request you sent in on Facebook, And I just referenced something. Hey, you said I'm not asking crazy questions. All I ask is all I say is like, hey, you listed that you were in West Virginia. Is that right? Perfect. And were you looking and go into, you got to flow, right? So I just say, hey, were you looking just to cover the burial expenses or just kind of leave a little extra for the family? Give them 2 options, right? So you want to keep going. So whatever they say, okay, perfect. And did you have any coverage in place currently? And I'm just kind of fact finding along the way. So I go there, boom, 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 get that information. And if they say they do have anything in place, my instant thing is like, okay, what company is it with? I'm trying to get as much information on what they have now, because maybe I could put them into a better place. Maybe they have a 2-year waiting period. I mean, for final expense, what I've realized is there's so many people that are in a 2-year waiting period. So that's a perfect question to ask. Okay, what company is it with? How much are you paying on it? Is it a term? If it's a term, it's going to go up at some point. When's that expiring? Like things like that. You want to get that information. So you ask that questions. Okay, perfect. Hey, so now the way this works is actually very simple. I'm just an underwriter actually here with the state. Okay. So my job is to, one, let you know what options you qualify for based on your age and health. And two, actually shop around all 26 carriers to see which one will give you the best rate. Okay. And they'll be like, okay, perfect. And just so you know, Miss Mary, everything's non-medical. So no doctors are coming out to your house, no needles, urine, or blood samples. I'm actually going to be able to get you some answers here over the phone. Okay, perfect. So now to see what options you qualify for, what was your birthday? Go into fact finding, boom, 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 boom. They're giving me that stuff. While they're giving me all that stuff, I'm typing it into insurance syndicates, insurance toolkits, typing it in as I go. What's nice about insurance toolkits is they literally ask all the questions. So it's like, okay, they're on lisinopril. Is it for high blood pressure or angina? High blood pressure. How long ago did they get diagnosed? Like it literally gives you exactly how to do it. Boom, boom, boom. They're doing that. Well, after they get all their medications, I ask all their history, their health history. And if you guys haven't already, like I have a 2-1 call close, like me live doing it, actually making a sale on my YouTube channel. If you haven't already, go check that out. Just look up Johnny Nitafan. But I look up exactly while I'm asking those questions, typing it in exactly what's going to be the best rate. And if it's going to be day one coverage or whatever it is, right? So I do that while I'm asking these questions, I put in like everything that I need. I start asking, like, while I'm thinking of options, and it's kind of gotten like, when you do it's the same thing over and over again. So what I've done is while I'm going over those things that I'm actually going to present to the client and what kind of options I'm looking at this point, I already know if they're looking to go down the burial route or cremation route. So it's either I'm looking at a $3,000 plan or $10,000, kind of in that range, depending on what they want. A lot of times, like, you want to downsell them because they're wanting, hey, 100,000. It's like, what were you looking for that to do for you? Like, why 100,000? I'm just curious. And coming out of curiosity is massive, like massive. That's how you want to come and approach it. Like, you're not interrogative, but it's just curious. Okay, when you say 100,000, I guess how'd you come up with that? Was it just kind of random or just sounded good? Or I guess what were you looking for it to do for you? And they'll say, just cover the burial and leave a little extra. Okay, great. So if we were able to find something that was able to cover the burial and leave Tommy a little bit extra, is that kind of what you were looking for? Yes. Okay, great. 25,000. While I'm going through that, typing in all the stuff, and I'm just like, hey, kind of fill me in here. I guess what got you motivated to start, I guess, looking for life insurance? And I know exactly what I'm going to say, but it's like, okay, like, hey, like, I guess what got you motivated to start looking for life insurance? Like, nobody can see my body language, but all you have is tonality. So strategically putting in pauses, coming in a place of like genuine curiosity, like, what got you motivated to start looking for, I guess, some life insurance? And they'll say it. Whatever they say, I have my pen and paper right here. Pen and paper, you can't see it, but pen and paper right here. Whatever they say, I write exactly what they say down. Boom, boom, boom. I want to make sure that the burial is taken care of for Tommy so that whatever, I don't want to leave a bill. Perfect. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but it currently looks like you were looking to make sure that the burial is taken care of for Tommy so you don't leave a bill for him. Is that correct? They'll say yes. They're like, oh my gosh, she understands me, because it's literally the exact same. Like, it's just whatever they say, just repeat it back. And then, okay, great. So let me ask you this. And this is where the sale is made, right here. So if you have your pen and paper, like, just write this down. Say, okay, so if we could, I guess, find something that was comfortable for you and affordable for you, and was able to make sure that Tommy wasn't left with a bill, is there anything holding you back to see if we can get you qualified today? Once they say yes, it's done. At that point, it's just finding out what's inside the budget. And then you go into closing questions. Okay, great. So now it's called a pre-close for you guys newer to sales. Like, it's just like that the sale is made. Now you just need to present options that are actually affordable inside the budget. So then I go into fact finding what their budget is, boom, 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 or like monthly income. If you use budget, they're just going to be like $10 a month. You don't want to say that. You're really selling value. So somebody can't come in with like $5 cheaper and replace you. But it's coming in really with the value. So when I'm going into the value, I'm like, okay, so you're wanting to make sure that Tommy was able to get his funeral taken care of, right? So, okay, so they're kind of recommending 3 options here. The company we're going with, hypothetically, say Family Benefit. So, right, so the company we're looking at here is called Family Benefit. Let me just tell you a little bit about them, right? They've been around for a while now, blah, 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 blah. Never missed a payout claim. Payout to Tommy within 24 to 48 hours. Of a payment or of a claim being made, right? So you go into that and you go into, hey, this is level. So whatever anybody says, this will never go up in price. The second thing is there's no 2-year waiting period. So we're actually going to be able to get you some day one coverage. So once you pay that first premium, the policy will go into effect and you'll have the full whatever coverage we pick out today. And also on top of that, it does build in cash value. So over time, if you're ever in a tight spot, you do have access to these funds and you go into there, boom, boom, boom. Here's what a burial will cost. Boom. This is our starter plan and you do it. This and I don't say price at this point. I just say they're recommending 3 options. The first one, $10,000 plan. This is the bare minimum to make sure that the burial is taken care of so Tommy doesn't have a bill. The second option, a $12,000 plan. Honestly, I don't know what it is. Seems like 90% of our clients are going with this one. This will make sure that the burial is taken care of and Tommy will have a little extra. Does that make sense? And the third option here, honestly, I personally wouldn't recommend this one. I'm actually going to take this one off the table. You're just going to be overpaying for insurance. At that point, I don't recommend that one. We can take a look at it if you like. But the first option here, the $10,000 plan, which will make sure the burial is taken care of. And I'm saying exactly what it does, right? So say exactly what it does. Boom, boom, boom. Do that. I guess one, and I take the 15 off the table. And my closing question is this, I guess, which one would give you the most peace of mind to make sure Tommy's in the best spot? More the 10,000 or the 12,000? I don't even ask him about the 15. I just take it off. That's another way to build rapport. Boom, it's off. Okay, great. 10,000. All right, awesome. Let's just see if we can get you approved and we'll go from there. And then I ask him, what address do you want to mail the policy out to? Another buying decision. And then I just go into the app.
What kind of objections do you hear?
Good question. Is this legit? Is this a scam?
Yeah.
So I share my, this is a part I kind of missed there. So after I ask the medical questions, I'm like, okay, go ahead and grab a pen and paper and let me know when you're ready. And they're okay, great. So go ahead and write this down. My name is Johnny Nitafan. My number is this, the same one my wife and mom call me on. Laugh. And you gotta, like, honestly, you just like, when I'm on the phone, I just get into agent mode. And so I have the same jokes. I have the same things. I say the same stuff. So what I say is, okay, go ahead and write that down and go ahead and write down my national producer number here. Okay. So with this number, you could actually go to the Department of Insurance website and find me. That way, you know who I am and that my license is active. Okay. So it's blah, 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 whatever. And I just go ahead and in that. So I think social, big one. That just shows you didn't have enough rapport. I think that's a big one, to be honest. I think everybody gets hauled up on social and banking. I'll give you some of my tricks in terms of banking because I've started to get really good at that one. It's some people are not going to give it up. But you just really have to, I go into my character mode and just go with it. Right. So in terms of social, I give out, I'm like, hey, so I don't say, what is your social? Right. So I don't say that. It's a trigger. Like people get triggered by that. And right when they get triggered by that, when they say, what's your social? Like, I don't know. It's just triggering. So I go into like, who's your beneficiary? I go through the whole first page of the app. So I'm like, hey, what address is it? What state were you born in? Are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have any coverage in place? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, great. And your social? I just go in. I don't say what is your social security number? I just say, okay, great. And your social? And sometimes they're like, do I have to give that? I'm like, yeah. So there's a couple reasons why. The first one, obviously, in the event something, God forbid, were to happen to you, the way they'd actually process the claim is Tommy would actually send me a copy of your death certificate, and they'd match that social security number up to your social, or they'd match that and make sure that the benefit is actually attached to that. The second thing is that actually checks if you're actually medically eligible. They'll just run a brief check on your medical records there. So that's kind of why we need it. So like today, what happened is she's like, I'm not giving it out. I'm like, okay, great. No worries. And I just start asking some of the application questions. Some applications you can do this. So I started asking some more the medical questions. I height and weight, medications, put that in. And I was like, okay, great. And your social? And she gave it. Because it just shows she doesn't have enough rapport. So you just got to give some rapport, build that rapport. Now, when it gets to the banking, I probably shouldn't give this out, but I'm going to. So when you get to the banking, so you go and let me ask you this: what's a good day for an effective date for you? They say, boom, okay, the 3rd. Okay, great. Most of our clients actually do that as well. So we can definitely do that. And just to see if you qualify for that savings plan, because some insurance, and this is a side note, some insurance companies do like it. Like what I realize is that if they don't qualify for family benefit and there's a Royal Neighbors, Prosperity's more expensive. And they'll take Direct Express, but Royal Neighbors will take banking. So I'm like, hey, just to see if you qualify for that savings plan. And I asked this earlier in the script, to be honest, right after medical. I say, you do have an active bank account, correct? And they're like, yeah, perfect. So usually I don't run into that as much, like going through a Royal Neighbors app and all of a sudden getting hit with a Direct Express. It's just a waste of time. I did it before and it was just horrible. Yeah. And so, because then you have to go through a whole nother app. So I already know they have a bank account. Okay, great. So, and what bank do you use? They'll say, whatever, right? Traditions Bank. Okay, great. And you got that in West Virginia, right? Yeah. Okay, great. I don't know what it is, but it seems like everybody in West Virginia has that bank. Is that a popular bank? And they'll say yes. And like, they'll start going on about it. Oh, it's the best bank ever, whatever. And while I'm doing that, guys, routing numbers are public. So if you didn't know that, routing numbers are public. Go and look up Traditions Bank in West Virginia routing number. Boom, boom, boom. Pulls it up right away. I don't know what it is, but it seems like everybody in West Virginia actually is using that one. And they're actually a preferred vendor here. And the routing number automatically populates here is 111-000-111. Is that correct? And they're like, if they say yes, boom. Okay, great. And the account number, if they're like, I don't know. Okay, go ahead and grab a check and verify that really quick for me, just to make sure that we have the right bank on file here. Boom, boom, boom. And then right when they verify it, you just ask, okay, great. And the account number.
Right. That's good.
And so honestly, like, it's increased that so much. A lot of times there are honestly people that you do get hung up on, right? You do get people are like, I'm not going to give that, whatever. Right. So you do have that, but it's a great way for me that I've found that it's worked, honestly. And if they're giving more pushback, I'm like, hey, totally understand. But let me ask you this. And this happened on Friday, actually. This girl was giving me so much pushback. I was like, okay, I guess let me ask you this. Is this something you really want? Like, at the end of the day, my job here is to make sure Tommy's in the best possible position, right? So I don't care, honestly, if you give this or not, but is this something you really want? Like, I'm genuinely curious, because I know you said you wanted the burial to be taken care of. I know that you said that you don't have any coverage in place. I know that you said all these things, but like, is this something you really want? Because if not, like, it's all good. It's totally all good. Like, we could just move on. You don't have to get this. But like, is this actually something that you want?
So
And
this
she's
is
like,
what you do at
yes.
the end when you're pushing. They're pushing back. They won't buy. They give you a bunch of hemming and hawing about the bank or the social. This is what you
Yeah.
use, right?
Yeah. I'm just like, is this genuinely something that you want? Like, do you want to make sure? Because at the end of the day, like, I hope you can feel this. Like, I care about you. And I want to make sure Tommy's in the best position. And if you don't want it, we can get off the phone right now and it's all good. But
yeah, notice his tone too, guys. It's not like, do you really want this? Because you're wasting my time. Notice that he doesn't have that tone. And that goes back to what Johnny was saying on the tonality. Like, he sounds sincerely curious, and it doesn't sound snarky. And that's so important in telesales, guys. I can't express it enough.
Yeah, like I'm genuinely curious because, one, I'm not wanting to force it through and get a chargeback. I don't care. Like, I'm not on any leaderboards anymore. I'm not on any of that. Like, I genuinely don't care about that stuff. Like, I'm genuinely just like, is this something you really want? And she's like, yes, I do. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, I can promise you and assure you nothing will be taken out until the 3rd. And she's like, so what? So this is the scenario that happened. This is a great thing that I think a lot. I wish I recorded this. I was like, I called one of my buddies up right after I did it. I'm like, dude, if I could have had that, like, I went in 3, like, I don't usually like try like crazy to make the sale, to be honest. Like, I genuinely don't. I just felt she really wanted it. And like, no, she wouldn't buy. Like, she's literally like, I talked to 6 other agents earlier, like today and a couple days ago. So she was kind of window shopping, but I can tell she really wanted it because of the way she was sounding. So I was like, okay, like, let's push a little bit harder. So I asked her that, and she's like, no. So like, so we started with the 10,000. It was $100 a month, and she had cancer. So it's like, I can't really do anything. Like, I wish I could. There's not really anything I can do. Started at $100 a month. We get to the social, and she's not really giving it. She ends up giving it after I built some more rapport. Get to banking, and she's just like, no, like, I just really need to think about this. And I'm like, okay, is this something you really want? So I go through that. She's like, yes, I do. Perfect. So I go back, and I'm like, okay, let's just start a little bit lower. You can always add later. Let's just start with 8,000. It's about $71 a month. She's still giving me a little bit more pushback. I'm like, okay. And so she's like, we can do it. We just have to start on the 22nd of March. She's like, I get paid 4th Wednesday. I'm like, that's 40. When I was doing the app, I was like, that's almost 45 days out. Yeah. Like, that just shows she can't afford it. Like, it's just like, that's the first thing that I picked up on, because I'm like, she wants it, but she's wanting it to be like way later. Like, why is she delaying it so much? Because she's getting paid in 2 days. Right. So I'm like, something's not right here. So I'm like, okay, let me ask you this. Is $70 something you can actually afford? Or can we just make sure Tommy's in the best spot? I'm sure that you'd agree having something in place would be better than having nothing. Would $51 be most affordable for you? She said, yes. As I think about it, it really is. I'm like, okay, so why don't we just go ahead? Would the starting on the 1st be fair for you? And she said, yeah, that works. Okay, great. And what bank do you want to use? And she just gives it. And I think, like, really, like, understand, these are things that, like, you're not going to understand until you actually do the reps. But it's like, what I realized in that is, like, it's not like, does she want it or not? But it's like, is it affordable for her? Yeah. And she said 100, like, I clarify right after, like, the sale is made. Is this something that if the refrigerator goes out, it's so simple, but is this something, if the refrigerator goes out, that you'll actually keep? If she says yes, then, like, okay, cool. Like, let's keep going with it. But, like, she was giving me all the good flags, and all of a sudden red flag. And I'm like, okay, let's actually figure this out. Like, what's going on here? So it's just because she simply couldn't afford it. And sometimes, honestly, like, if you're buying something, it's honestly kind of embarrassing going down. Right. You have to give them that permission, because at the end of the day, like, a sale is a sale is a sale. A family helped is a family helped. And, like, at the end of the day, like, $200 less AP for a client that's actually going to keep the policies worth it. And so what I realized in that is, like, it's not about it, does she want it, but it's like finding something that's affordable.
Yes.
Because right when we like got into the affordability range, she was all for it.
It's funny. We have a legendary call that we had recorded on our training site for agents in DeFord Insurance Group, and it's from Melissa Barrett. And literally this prospect objects, no joke, 50 times, right? Over the phone, constant pushback. Like the entire call is just Melissa just plodding ahead and ahead and ahead. And she gets to the close where it's game time. And she does another 20, no joke, like 20 plus objections. Melissa does not ever let up. And at the moment that the client buys and says, yes, I agree, is all based off of the timing of the bill. She did not want the draft. Melissa went in trying to get the money today, which is not a good strategy for final expense people. They operate based on when their check hits. So you always want to draft when the check comes in because they're fixed income. When she changed it from getting immediate payment today till the 3rd of the month, she's like, okay, yeah, sounds all that resistance washed away.
Yeah.
The moral of the story is, guys, got to stick with it. This business is about thinking on your feet, reading and reacting to what the client's saying. That gets easier as you do more reps under the bar, like Johnny does. When you've done hundreds of presentations, a lot of this stuff becomes more natural. In the beginning, it's going to be more difficult, as it always is. So very good. So a couple things here, Johnny. First of all, audience, we got about 15 minutes left here. If you have questions, I want you to put them into the chat. So Johnny, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back a few here and ask a few questions people are asking, but this is your opportunity. Thank you for walking us through your presentation. That was fantastic. Very good stuff. So if you guys got questions, use the chat, throw them in the chat, and let's talk about what we're doing. Linus,
if you guys like, this is I'm going to do a breakdown of it, but like, if you guys want like a real life example, me actually like 2 people that I like was able to one call close from start to finish, the way I like warm it up, cool down, everything, like it's on my YouTube. Like I genuinely want to help and like see you guys win, because I remember when I was like, dude, like I'm getting told what to do and like I'm getting trained on it, but I don't know exactly like how to actually close, right? And so the biggest thing that helped me was going to somebody's YouTube, right? Or going to someone's training and literally just listening over and 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 over, like thousands of times, how they ask questions, like even when they're like on the screen, like how's their body language? How's their tonality? Like, how are they, like, even though they're not like, they're over the phone, like what body language are they making to like sound like that? What questions are they asking? How are they overcoming it? And I would just listen to the same audios. Like I probably did it for like 3 weeks straight, the same exact videos over and over and over again. And then I realized like, okay, like this is just how you do it. And then once you learn how to do it in like one call close, you like, I don't know, it's just the same, it's rinse and repeat over and over and over again.
Believe it or not, this business gets boring after a while. It's the same thing over and over again.
Correct. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off, David.
Oh, no. So yeah, I want to reemphasize that point, because at DeFord Insurance Group, one of the tools that we use to train new agents is we want you to listen to real life sales calls, listen to critiques of real life sales calls. We've got probably between face-to-face and telesales 60 real life calls to listen to, and all of our new agents are required to listen to them. We want to brainwash you in what it sounds like to be successful selling over the phone or in person, and really nothing does it better than listening to calls. And I made a note, Johnny made a really good point for telesales. It's one thing to listen to it, but boy, I can see how seeing it like on like a recorded call, Johnny, like you said, like seeing somebody selling, I'm going to probably start using that in my coaching calls. Because seeing somebody sell over the phone and watching their body, like how is their body language? Do they look swooped over? Do they look like they don't care? Are they not excited? Because you, as somebody critiquing and trying to help them, like, hey, you don't look like you're enjoying this, and it's coming off in your voice. Probably exactly what happens, you know? So, thank you for that.
Yeah, because like what you're like, what I realize is like, oh, like they're kind of like, they're like, even though they're over the phone, like on the video, I was like, oh, they're like going like kind of fill me in here, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, genuinely curious. Like if I was talking to you, like, what do you mean by that? Like, you want to copy as much as you can, stack all the variables in your favor so you can win. And that's what I really tried to do. Like, okay, my body language is going to be the exact same way this person's is going to be the exact same way. I'm going to ask the exact same questions. I'm going to say it the exact same way.
So channel your inner Italian, right? You got to talk with your hand. You have to, because if you're just sitting there idle, it's just boring. All right. What CRM do you use? Ask Linus.
Oh yeah. So I use a white label of high level. So I use Advanced Agent CRM right now. So it has a lot of pre-built stuff in there. I actually built out like a lot of my own as well. Yeah.
And what did you use a course to help put Facebook leads on, or just did it on your own?
Yeah, so I used the 77-cent leads from like the Tim and Julian Advanced Agent Marketing. I used their course a lot. I was lucky enough to like get around a few people, a few marketers that were able to like kind of help me out in terms of like generating leads. It's so confusing. But I think like what really helped me out is like there's so many YouTube videos that I just watched, and I just like I had to go like, all right, start, and okay, I need to do that. Click this button. Okay, stop. And then I go in my computer and I click start. Like I click the exact button. It's so confusing, but if you just look on YouTube, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there, like how to start generating final expense Facebook ads. There's like hours and hours long of like how to do that.
Yeah, you can do it that way. If you guys really want a course, I highly recommend Tim and Julian's Advanced Agent Marketing program. They just got done with a course called Ads Launch, Agent Ad Launch, I think is what it's called. They did it in Houston. It was kind of done with you. Everybody flew in, learned how to do and set up their own Facebook stuff. They do a fantastic job. Highly recommended. Some of our agents are doing it. They love it. So if you guys need a link to that, just shoot me an email, daviddeford.com/contact. I'll connect you and try to get you a discount on that. Let's see here. How many states are you running on ads for Facebook? What's your kind of general advice of what works well?
Yeah, run. So I talked to one of the guys, Oscar, that you had on your channel, guys, and biggest thing that you guys can do to get your leads lower. This is the easiest and most simple thing is like just get more states. I mean, I'm in over 20. And like I've talked to so many different marketers that are like that you see on YouTube. I talked to Oscar, talked to Tim and Julian. I've talked to different people. They all say the same thing of just get more states. Cause that'll get your lead costs lower.
Yeah. I do TikTok lead gen with Oscar's program. Another guys, again, I'm going to have Oscar on probably this week or next week on Thursday to talk about generating leads on TikTok. Yeah, it might be a Chinese psyop, as some of you all out there are worried about, but it's fantastic for leads. We're doing 49 states, and our average lead cost, it's on the high end of $4 to $5, maybe $6 a lead. But these are video-based leads. I mean, it's fantastic. And what we were doing just like 6 or 7 states to start with, and it was not very good. So adding all those states in, 100% difference. But you don't have to do 49. You could do probably 15 to 20 and do fine.
Yeah, definitely. At least over 10 though, for sure.
Yeah. Mark says, is there some chance you're underselling these leads?
Honestly, like I honestly know, like it's just it's like the mass volume game. Like that's I said, okay, there's 2 types of leads, right? There's 2 types of leads that I can do. There's either one, I can make a very high quality lead that I'm going to be paying like $30 for, or I could get a bunch of people who are like lower intent, I guess, but I like that are cheaper, and I could just work through them and actually work. And here's my like, and maybe this could help you guys out. This is a belief that changed for me that like has served me so well. And a high intent lead is just like everybody wants to label a high intent lead as going through 15 different funnels and asking 57 questions and all this stuff, right? Everybody says that. I personally believe a high intent lead is somebody who just experienced a death, had to bury somebody, I mean, those are high intent leads and you can get them at like cheap. And so what my belief system was, because I literally was asking one of my friends, I was like, you're generating leads at $1.69. And I was like, what the heck? Like, do you care if they're high intent? He's like, dude, it's just like that. Everybody like wants to put it in a box. And he helped me change my belief system on it. I'm like, there's so many people out there just looking for life insurance that are high intent. And it's not them going through 57 different funnels, but it's like, are they genuinely wanting the product? And if you get to them right away, they're going to be interested because there's some reason that they filled out the form. So
a high intent lead to me is one that will actually pick up the phone and talk. I mean, like, that's all I want these days, ladies and gentlemen. Just pick the phone up so I can just have a conversation, right? I mean, for real, like, that's what the game is about, is just having as many conversations as possible. As long as you're in the social income strata that we want, older, lower income, you're bound to come across business if you just maximize that.
Yeah. So like, just full transparency, guys, I ran 31 presentations last week. Like, actually, like, I only count a presentation is if I go through the whole script, get to the prices, actually say them the way that I want, and they say yes or no. Like, or I'm not in, like, I don't know, like, if they go through that, that's a presentation to me. So out of 31 that I ran last week, I only closed 11. And it's like, really guys, you could bash me on my closing rate, but my profitability was at 20x last week. And it's like, when you're getting that many presentations, like, it's just because you're calling them right away and you have a system that's going through. Like, I just built out some automations that, like, I closed somebody that was from 3 weeks ago that filled out a form, and it just said, all the text said was like, hey, I saw you filled out a form on Facebook for life insurance. Were you looking for this for burial or cremation? Text back burial. Call them right away. Perfect. Let's get your burial taken care of.
Awesome. Now, and I will say, for telesales, when you're closing 11 out of 31, that's greater than 33%. That's awesome. In our business and final expense telesales, if you can close 1 out of 4 fully completed presentations, you're doing just fine. But the reality, though, the true number that really matters isn't close rate, it's return on investment. If Johnny puts $500 into his leads and gets 10,000 in commissions, I don't care if his close rate's 5%. Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What matters is what's in my bank after I pay for leads. Everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So JD, go to Johnny Nitafan. It's just his channel. Put that in YouTube. You'll find his recorded sales calls there. Definitely want to check that out. Make sure you subscribe.
I have it's just a personal Facebook page. So just look up Johnny Nitafan, and there's going to be a picture of me in a blue jacket.
All right, Dominic, do you generate a following on social media and gain leads organically? You're doing all paid ads, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what Mark was at, and I'll answer this just in the interest of time. Underselling, like, are we selling them too low of a plan when we could maximize the commission? Here's the thing I've learned about final expense. It's all about aptivity. If you can get a deal closed and it stays on the books, that's all that matters. Now, granted, we want to get the most that we can, but I don't want you to be greedy either. Now, we have a strategy that we call what's called selling the premium, where we anchor a high price, start high and then go lower. So even if the client says no to a bunch of higher prices, we end up with a price they say is comfortable within a range of comfort to them. So we know before we get to the pitch. My presentation is a little different from Johnny. That's fine. There's different ways to skin the cat here. But that helps us maximize the commission of the sale. But what we don't want to do is push a fixed income senior to buy something out of their budget. It just doesn't work. They will call and they will cancel and you'll get chargebacks. And guys, I don't know how much y'all see about the competing MLMs that are out there, but they talk about how much business they write. You never hear about how much of it falls off. There's a ton of it. There's chargeback risk. Part of it is how they sell. It's very aggressive. Part of it is what overpriced products they're pushing that you don't necessarily know about. But there is the best way to sell to make sure that the policy stays is, number one, how you sell in a way where the client can get an affordable premium. And number two, it's what you sell. If you've got options to very competitively priced carriers, good underwriting, you're what's called a broker, not captive with one company, and you really think about what's in the best welfare of the client first, not worry about, am I going to qualify for a trip or not? That's how, so you sell based on the client's need and what's best suited, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I track too. Like I didn't even know my AP, to be honest, until like right before this call, but that's what I judge it. Like my goal is 1 to 2 apps a day. If I do that, like I'm making a very good net profit. And so like I've been able for the past almost 60 days now to close an average of 1.5 apps a day. So it's like my goal is like, okay, at the end of the week, did I close at least 7? If I did, then I'm like very positive. And then I track my numbers every Friday night. I just sit down and I have like a tracker, and it's like, okay, how much did I spend? How much did I issue? How much did I actually like deposit into my account? And how many presentations did I do? And how much did I close? So I just track all that. As long as the presentations are in good order, I mean, usually it's closing at about 33%, like right what you were saying,
Perfect.
like right around there. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up. Johnny, thank you so much for being here. Again, remind us of where my audience can go to find out more about what you do, your social channels, et cetera.
Totally. I appreciate it. Just look me up, Johnny Nitafan, on Instagram, YouTube, at like JOHNNY, last name Nitafan, Nitafan. I'm here to help you guys. I want to see you guys win. I'm going to be posting a ton of content, how to one call close, just like how to nail the first 30 seconds of the script, because that's crucial, how to master tonality. There's a lot more to come. At the very minimum, you could watch me close some sales and hope like copy that. So just look me up on YouTube. I'm really going to be posting a ton of stuff on YouTube moving forward. So definitely check it out on there. But other than that, I'm here for you. If you guys want to DM me, I'm not on Instagram right now, but I'm on Facebook. So I try to answer every DM, which I have been. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm here to help.
Hey, and then also, guys, if you're interested in the courses mentioned, Mark was so kind to share the Scale My TikTok link, and then the 77 cents opt-in for advanced agent marketing for the Facebook, and then the TikTok one. So thank you for that, Mark. Appreciate you, man. Check is in the mail. Johnny, especially appreciate you. Thanks for taking an hour out of your day to do this. And